Yo, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yo, how you doing, bro?
What's good, Dark
Welcome to
Matter?
the show, man.
Fantastic.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Beautiful.
coming on. Real quick, man, give everybody a little intro of who you are, what you do.
Okay. Yo, if you don't know now, you know it's your boy Dark Matter, because I'm dark and I know I matter. I am a rapper, producer. Just started my journey as a stand-up comic in
Yeah,
November, which
get
is
into that for sure.
amazing. And I love God, love philosophy, love science, astrophysics, love hip hop, music of the African diaspora. And I just like making music and creating and expressing myself. So shout out
Yeah,
to
man.
shout
Off
out to
top,
y'all.
off
All things we can get behind for sure.
off top. I'm just curious. Just a question that just came to mind. Just want to ask, what's the last book that you read?
Whew. I'm currently right now in the middle of like
Okay, so
reading.
you shift, you be shifting, you be reading different joints
Yeah,
simultaneously.
because it's like the
Okay,
audio book way be crazy, but then the
it is,
book,
it
and
is
then
for
I
sure.
might right now I'm
Get
in
you a
the
little
middle
Kindle
of
book, get you a
Right,
little
right.
a little paperback, you know what I'm saying?
Fact.
right now I'm in the middle of reading this book called Homecoming.
Okay.
I
What's that?
forget
Is it
off the
fictional
top.
or what's it about?
I forget the woman's name off top, but it's about coming home to yourself.
Mm.
Okay.
Um, and it's especially important for artists and creatives. Sometimes the things that we do is performative in certain
Fact.
ways. The way we carry relationships in our lives, really, it don't have to be romantic, just in general, and then
Right.
just ourselves. Sometimes we do a lot of things because this is what our parents wanted us to do. This is what Bay wanted us to do. This is like, all right, if we want to grow this fan base, this is what we got to do. Everybody's on social media doing, hey, Bay, Bay, hey, Bay, Bay, hey, Bay, Bay, all
Right.
this stuff,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes we like kind of lose ourselves. And then, especially when you go through like hardships, trials and tribulations, it's like sometimes you might not feel comfortable in your skin. You might not feel
Mhm.
comfortable in like who you are. You might not just be losing yourself. So it's like being able to come to home, being able to identify when you're like disconnected from yourself. You could be disconnected from your body. You go through like different emotions, struggles, um changes, and as you mature and you grow, uh mentally you might be disconnected from like how your mind works, what thoughts are like your thoughts, or
Yup.
like versus
Yup.
like
Yup.
someone else's thoughts. Somebody say you can't do something, or like your mom might say this, or your dad might say that, or like your ex might have said something wild crazy, and now
Right.
you lost
You believe it.
orientation
Yeah,
spiritually,
you believe it.
emotionally, like being able to like really come home and feel like on some Diana Ross kind of joint, like in the
Mm-hmm.
Wiz, where you just like home is a place like where love is overflowing, feeling abundance of loving yourself. So I'm
Yeah,
reading that,
it's
reading a
real shit.
couple, two or three other books, and yeah, I
Nah,
just been reading a lot of books around so personal development, and yeah, mostly around the personal development realm.
nah, I resonate with that. I resonate a lot with that, bro, because I'm always saying with myself as well. It's like, you out here in the world and whatnot, and you applying, you trying to create and doing all that. But how often do you do those check-ins with self?
Yeah.
And it's like we always trying to better our physical and all of that. It's like the analogy, we go to the weight room, we want to work on our muscles, do all this shit, hit the track, you want to work on your cardio, do all of that. And you thinking sleep is the rest of the mind. Like it's just going to the REM state. You dreaming, you not even recalling this. When do it really rest? Can you
Hmm.
consciously just be like, yo, can I just tap in with myself? Can I just see what's up? You said something that's like spot on. Like your influences, your inspirations is that you? Are you like that blueprint? Like, did you just adopt the societal blueprint and you moving like that whole time? That's not your path. You just going down because you think this is what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes that realization be like jolting for people, but it's like how you react in that moment when you realize, like, damn, like I need to make these shifts is everything. And like the fact that you
Hmm.
just highlighted that through that book, like Homecoming, I'm definitely gonna check that shit out for sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
big.
yeah. I wish I remembered the author's
author?
name off top before this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we gonna
But
tap in for sure. So yeah, just send me
yeah,
that.
because
I
Yeah.
feel
I
like
just got put onto it. I've been reading
yeah,
other books like Hurt People, because
right,
that's
yeah.
for me. That's a book is huge, it has a Christian context, and like that's a profound book for me too because Hurt People, and like
Yeah, that ass
and
out.
it's crazy. That's a whole nother podcast going
For
into that
sure.
realm.
Yeah, I think I also like just to kind of touch on what y'all was just talking about, because that also resonates with me right now. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I've been so what was it, a couple weeks ago you put me on to Meditations by
Right.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
So I've been paying
Mm,
attention to that book,
That's a
right?
nice
I
little
gotta
handle.
cop that.
No, it is because the thing is, like he talks about a lot. You know, for people who aren't familiar with who Marcus Aurelius is, he was what, an emperor or something like that.
Yeah.
One of like the most powerful men on the planet in the time that he was, you know,
Russell
alive.
Crowe.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like he jotted down like a bunch of his thoughts, and like somebody found those thoughts and published them. And when you listen or read like the things that he was thinking about, it's like, bro, like these are things that, you know, any person would be thinking about. Like, you don't, sometimes I think we disconnect people who are super powerful or super famous or super rich or whatever as like not people, or like not like us. But when you can tap into what they're thinking in like real ways, you can kind of see like there's certain things that make us all human. And if I could point to one of those things, it's kind of this self-doubt or like self-questioning. You know what I'm saying? This self-questioning of like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or what people say, like, does that matter? Should I ignore what people say? Like all these types of things. And to think like,
Absolutely.
oh, Marcus Aurelius was thinking about this type of shit too. There's like, I don't know if there's a level of comfort, but there's like a it's good to know that like, oh, I'm not crazy for thinking like this.
But it's more so, and it's even to add to that, it's like in like ego or the position that you may assume in life isn't distracting you from just
it
like
doesn't alleviate these things.
these questions that are still apparent. So it shows you it's like I'm in that ideal position that people said if they were here, then everything would. And I'm telling
I wouldn't have
you,
to worry about that.
And I'm telling you, it's more. I have more questions.
Yeah.
Nobody can actually help. Like we can converse and we can never really get the answers, but it just helps me to be able to like transcribe these things and be able to reflect on it, right? So always keeps you based, always keeps you centered. And I feel like that's a great way to always keep like your purpose intact. You're not going to drift away from what it is that you know you're supposed to be doing, whatever purpose it is that you feel you're supposed to be
feel like asking the question is like there shouldn't be there is no answer. Just asking the question is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? But
you know what came to mind? Like two things. There's one part of that book, Homecoming, in the beginning. They talk about this story where it was like this bird expert. He goes to like a farm, right? But this farmer has a farm full of chickens, and in the midst of this group of chickens is an eagle, right? And the eagle is like eating the bird seeds and stuff like that, like a chicken, right? And the bird expert is an expert enough to know that that's not a chicken, that's an eagle. So he goes to the farmer, like, yo, you got an eagle in your farm. Farmer's like, nah, I got chickens, bro. So he like, let me show you. So he goes to the farm, grabs the eagle, he picks up the eagle. It's like, yo, you like an eagle, you could fly, like you don't belong with these chickens. Like the eagle looking at the bird expert like,
what?
How soft the bird expert goes back to eating the bird seed like chicken. He's like, see, I told you, got nothing but chickens. So bird expert goes home. Next day he comes back, knocks on the door. Farmer's like, yo, I thought I told dude what time it was. Like, he's like, nah, like, yo, I'm trying to tell you, like, this is not a chicken. So he goes and then he grabs the eagle, and this time takes the eagle like on the roof of the farm or whatever, the barn, or takes the eagle somewhere high. And it's like, yo, you an eagle, and you just chucks the eagle, and then the eagle just like got the password, like, and it's just flying. and like the farmer never saw that eagle again. And it's like that type of the thing about humans is like I think about like a bee. And you said a key thing, like part of human, what makes a human a human. You said self-doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in that context, because
more like questioning, just like
self-inquiry. The self-inquiry,
Yeah,
like
that's
what you mean by
self-inquiry.
the question. That's how I interpret it. Because
100%.
would a bee be like, damn, should I really be like finessing this flower up out of the pollen right now? Like, making this like
they just do it. It's part of what they do. They just do it. They don't think about it.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Does a flower be like, dang, son, you know, I didn't soak up enough like vitamins.
Me? You gonna do that to me?
Like, you know I need to like outperform this like other rose like in the garden, and like soak up more. You know what I'm saying? But then sometimes if you think deeper, plants communicate with each other.
100%, of course.
And I just found that out recently, and that's some like plants like this. It's like what grows on mushrooms. I forgot what it's called.
Fungus?
Yeah, not the fungus. It's like it starts with an M, but it grows on mushrooms, and like it's like how neurons are in our neural pathways, the way different parts of our body communicate with each other. Like that's how plants communicate.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
It's real.
And it's something like that. Yeah. And then like the smell of fresh grass, that's like grass telling other grass like, yo, it's not safe.
Living forms have the mycelium.
Mycelium grows on mushrooms.
Yeah, mycelium. Yeah, mycelium. That's what helps plants communicate.
Yeah.
So it makes me think, like, do plants be on some like, yo, nah, we need to get it together. Like these humans, they be like, they be wilding, son. We need to like form a union. We need to like mobilize. Like they making too much paper out here. Like, do they really be like thinking about? Do plants be meditating? That's some things I be thinking about. Like,
it's what you touching on is just like, bro, just like sometimes if we just reflect upon nature, we'll see that nature doesn't even think, it just adapts. So sometimes even with ourselves, it's like we could question ourselves, we can ask all these type of questions, but sometimes it's just better to just like that eagle that wasn't aware that it was an eagle. You got to just jump into that unknown zone, and then boom, you got to just spread your wings and you find your way.
That's how I feel about comedy.
Amazing, yeah.
That's how I feel about comedy.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Yeah. So let's get into it. So you said you're just starting your comedy journey. You know what I'm saying? What brought you to what brought you to the comedy arena? Is it something that you've always fucked with? Is it something that you just saw and just decided to do? Like how did you end up, you know what I'm saying, getting on stage?
So I've been rapping for like 10 years. I have to start there. Before even rapping, I grew up an artist, a drawer. Like I used to draw on my parents' walls. I'm from New York City, Brooklyn, New York, Queens, Flatbush, stand up.
Hey.
And I used to draw a lot, and I used to draw on my parents' walls. Then, after my father whipped out the belt, then he got to the paper. So I started drawing stick figures. Then I started, watching Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, started emulating the cartoons. And then by the time middle school and high school came, I started learning art formally. My family invested in me to like learn fine art. Then I went to high school for fine art. Then my first year of college, I studied illustration, but then that pivoted me into rapping. Then I was like the home studio, dorm studio.
What time is this? What year is this?
This is like 2009, 2010.
You're in New York. You still in New York?
I was in Boston at the time. I went to school in Boston for a year, and I came back, and I just like adopted that lifestyle. Wiz Khalifa was just starting to pop. Tyler, Currency, Smoke is
yeah, that's the Revolution.
You know, the Revolution was not the televised. I was a part of that movement.
Smokers Club. Yeah.
And so people was like, yo, you dark as hell, and you be everywhere and nowhere. You be on some different type of, I'm gonna call you DarkMatter.
Okay.
And at first it was like kind of like back to the homecoming thing, like, but then I started being like, am I doing this for like that, or I'm doing this because it's like a part of something deeper? So I
Right.
thought of the latter, and I started producing my own music, making my own music, and heavy in the New York scene. Like once again, the Revolution, Pro Era, Joey Badass, that whole
Yeah.
era.
Right.
Like, there's a slew of independent artists that never didn't break mainstream that was bubbling around the same time when I was a part of
Yep.
that
Yep.
movement.
I remember that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
So
a great time too.
10 years later, I grew up like kind of the class clown. I've been suspended every way you could be suspended in the Department of Education in New York City.
Anywhere you could get
Every
suspended.
single way, like every single way, I like knocked that off my bucket list. And I was always like either getting bullied or just roasting, cutting ass. It was always that time like jonesing, just to the
Yeah.
point where you have to either, put up the hands or whatever. So
100%.
I just grew up always being laughed at for some one reason or another. Now I'm at my late 20s going into my early 30s. I always love comedy. My favorite comics is like Bernie Mac, Dick
Rest
Gregory.
in peace,
Um,
Bernie, man.
Definitely got to shout out Corey Holcomb and Patrice O'Neal,
Yeah.
Hey, shout
Earthquake,
out to-
Chappelle.
yes,
Nigga, like
sir.
you like real comedians.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Eddie Murphy, of course. And so
Right.
I just was like, I always wanted to like try it because then it probably would have made me feel better about myself. So I wanted to get from a point of getting laughed at to getting laughed with.
Mm.
Okay.
and and then I
Yeah.
just like face my fears. But it's like so different compared to hip hop in so many ways. It's similar, and a lot of comedians are musically inclined, would love to rap or be musicians, and then vice versa. A lot of Eddie Murphy
You
got a
also see a
song.
lot of comedians like making little parody songs and shit like that. You see that shit a lot.
Yeah, like my
Like, yeah,
girl wants to party all the time, party all the
yeah,
time.
like Lil Duval got like a whole album coming out. Like,
Hey,
you know
bro.
what I'm saying?
Hey, bro. Could you talk about the different, I guess, what genres of like comedian there are now? Because me and Mech were talking about it too, and we're like, I mean, now, and not to say one or the other makes you a comedian or not, but it's like, now with the social media, you have a lot of people that their
They're
comedy
funny.
is via
Yeah, yeah.
the IG, or
Yeah.
it's via they're able to put this script together, and that's actually showing you another skill set of theirs to be able to present it to you versus somebody that's literally
A comedian.
improving maybe in real time. Like, I'm literally with people, like nobody's gonna fake a laugh for me,
Yeah.
and I'm literally trying to get these people to laugh. Can you speak
Yeah.
on the differences of like the creating content as a comedian versus actually performing comedy for actual live audience, and your experiences with both and how they differ?
Yeah. So far for me going into it, the writing aspect is like challenging for me. And I didn't think it was gonna be, but it is. I'm used to rapping, writing poetry or like bars, like rap bars.
Right.
And comedic writing hits so different because with rap it's like there's an emphasis on literary devices, similes, metaphors. The punchlines are based off of like the literary devices, hyperboles.
Right.
Like I could, I'm a hustler, baby. I sell water to a whale. That's like a
Yeah.
hyperbole, for
Right.
example.
Right.
How many likes, which we use like or as a simile and a metaphor,
Yeah,
or perhaps
the
different
analogy.
imagery. Then with comedy, there's like comedy is like a strategic surprise. It's like a misdirection. I'm going this way and then I pivot.
Word.
Like for example, I'm pro-life, right? And if I say it like that, I'll be like, I'm, ladies, don't get offended. I'm pro-life, right? They could be like, what? Like, yo, it's a great cereal. Come on, Mikey can't be the only one that likes it.
Right.
So I went from like, I'm thinking I'm talking about you know, women's rights with as far as, you know, pregnancy, you know, pro-life or pro-choice, but I pivot to cereal, you know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
like, you know, it's like a misdirection. And so you have the writing aspect, you have comedic writers, people who write for comics or they write for skits or shows. Then you have people who perform and they're like just funny naturally, like Earthquake, maybe for example, Bernie Mac. Then you have the political commentator kind of comics like George
Like the Trevor
Carlin,
Noah.
Dick
Right.
Gregory,
John
Yeah.
Stewart's.
Jon Stewart, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the improv like Wayne Brady, Drew Carey type of Ryan Stiles type of lane. Then you got the Instagram social media aspect where
Right.
they're like
Drewskis.
their skits are based off of things that go on in like for my like millennials, common culture,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And let's
Yeah.
say the DC Young Flies, the Haha Davises,
It's
and
interesting because like these niggas don't really like they're not stand-up comedians, but you would call them a comedian. It's like
yeah.
and I honestly I don't know. Like
But they're
I don't
trained though. No, don't get it twisted. They trained. They
well
comedians.
yeah, so I guess
It's just a
the thing
different
that I'm
format, you know.
yeah, the thing that I guess what I'm trying to find out or tease out is like what what is it that they're doing, you know what I'm saying? Because like if I look at a stand-up comedian, I know what he's doing. Like you give him a microphone and you put him in a room full of people and he's gonna tell you a series of stories that will make you laugh. Whereas like some of these newer comedians, and it's again, it's not a knock, I'm just trying to like understand because like these niggas make me laugh too, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, what is it that I'm like, what is it that I'm laughing at? Like what is their thing, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like it's more so it's like kind of what you said.
It's like an
They're
imitation of life.
really
It's social
harping
media.
on the cultural
what I see is like
shit and
what
like making you be like,
I was just
what
about to
the
say
fuck?
what I see is like they'll take a real life situation and reenact it in an exaggerated way. So like you might see one of those posts that's like, you know, when uncle comes over for Thanksgiving or some shit and he's playing the uncle being like OD on things, you know what I'm saying? It's like a skit that's super exaggerated. I guess it's kind of like sketch comedy in a way, but it feels different. It feels different on these social media platforms. It's not like a, you know, a 5-minute sketch on Comedy Central. It's like a 60-second, minute and a half type joint on a square screen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different skill set, but also I don't necessarily think it just translates to the other. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these dudes like can do stand up. Some of them, like I've seen Desi Banks, like he's funny on Instagram, but I've also seen some stand-up shit he's done, which he's funny, you know what I'm saying? Whereas like some other folks, you know what I'm saying, you can't, DC Young Fly too, he's funny when he is in a stand-up or podcast type of like setting in front of a live audience, he's funny still, you know what I'm saying? But some of these niggas, like you give them a microphone, put them in a crowd of people and be like, yo, like we're not going to talk back to you, you just talk to us and make us laugh. That, you know, everybody can't just do that. That doesn't always just translate.
Yeah, I think when you're live, it's different because for that aspect, when you're on social media and you're doing a skit, first of all, it's skillful to like be able to do some type of skit like that in the time frame of a reel or Instagram story, because you have to really drive the point home. It's like it's akin to one-liners, like the quick in 2 sentences set up punch, right? Because you could do that with comedy. The punchlines is like it's similar to rap where you gotta have like a punchline every 2 to 4 bars, something like that. In comedy, you gotta have a laugh like every 10 seconds. If you got a 3-minute set, then you have somebody laughing every 10 seconds, then that's pretty much like 18 laughs, give or take. You know what I'm saying? When you're live, you have the audience that you could play off of. So you might have a bit that you're working on, and depending on the crowd's reaction, something else might pop up that you can get a laugh at. You can depending on who's in the audience, you could do crowd work, and that's a whole nother lane. Like I was on an open mic last night, and somebody jones me because of my outfit. I look like a black Amish dude, but see my ankles. I was wearing ankle socks, so he's like, "Yo, I wouldn't, trust you with my kids. You out here with your ankles showing in the rain, like." Who does that? Like, you know what I'm saying? He just got two more funnies out of me, and he didn't even go to his bit. So you have some of that aspect. Not everybody can riff off of the crowd like that. And then the crowd control, which is similar to hip hop and MCing, which I like too, because if you could control a crowd non-verbally, that's like very skillful. Just certain body movements, like your energy, how you radiate and how that comes off in the audience. You could just be like this, and people, make some noise. Your appearance, how you approach the stage, all of that comes into play. Social media, there is an aspect to that, but Shorty could be funny in her bonnet, you know what I'm saying? But could she come out to a live comedy show in her bonnet? Maybe yes or no, maybe necessarily.
Yeah,
I
see where you're going with that. Yeah,
it's a it'll be, it depends on the audience, and also with social media, you can like target your audience due to like the back end as far as the analytics, hashtagging, and so on and so forth. When you at a comedy show, depending on how where you're booked, who's the promoter, you'll have different types of people in the crowd, so you might have to tailor your material to the audience, whereas you tailor the audience to your material on social media, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear that. You mentioned books. Speaking of books, you wrote a book, An Independent Artist Guide to Data and Intelligence. Tell us about that, like how that came about, why you decided to write that.
Yeah, actually, I did. It's my it's my master thesis converted into book form. So, how I ended up moving to DC is that I had an opportunity to go to grad school, at a small graduate school for national security, and that kind of exposed me to the U.S. government and how the national security like infrastructure is set up. Moving to DC and then being exposed to like intelligence. So I had an opportunity to go to grad school from one of my mentors, and like most people, they're like, "What is intelligence?" Like,
I'm
like,
saying here, like,
do I want to be? I don't want to be a op. Like, do you? Most people when I was in grad school and they was asking me, so you wanna be a spy? You wanna like work for the FBI, CIA? And I'm just like, not really. But I had an opportunity and I took it. And what kind of inspired me to pursue that degree was just kind of doing my research, because I felt like there wasn't a lot of diversity in that space. I was the only kid from Brooklyn in that cohort, in that program. And so I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb. One of my, professors, when I first introduced myself, they were like, "So what are you doing here, Jay-Z? If you could rap, do all this stuff while you studying national security and intelligence." And so I did my research, and I found like there is a history of people of the African diaspora as it relates to national security and intelligence, and there's a history tied to us being creators and entertainers, and an intersection between all of that. For example, Harriet Tubman, she was a spy for the Union Army during the Civil War, because she understood these different routes of getting Black slaves to the North, and she had a lot of leadership skills that were very useful, and so she commanded troops. She was a spy for the Union Army during the Civil War, because she knew how to get you know, behind she know how to get to the South through those secret routes from the Underground Railroad. Um, Josephine Baker, who was like pretty much the Beyonce of the 20th century. She was a spy for the French during World War II, and because she was a world traveling performer in that age, there were, you know, Hitler, Mussolini, King Farouk of Egypt. They, you know, they wanted to see her perform. And you know, when you perform, you get the backstage passes. You know, people want to see you backstage, so she'll be able to interact with these high profile individuals and the Axis powers in World War II in ways that you know, the Allied powers couldn't get access to them. So she would be able to kind of smuggle important documents. This is before the TSA, before having to take your shoes off and go through the metal detectors in 20th century. So she was able to bring back documents back to the French. She got a French Medal of Honor for her service. And so that kind of interested me. And the book specifically, I had got my undergrad in business. So getting my master of arts in intelligence and my undergrad in business is like business intelligence. And that's a whole nother field of it in and of itself. After a while, I started to realize being a content creator, being a rapper, producer, now a comedian, being on social media, internet, and the internet, there's a layer of it that goes over a lot of people's heads, and it's the relationship with data, the ones and the zeros, and information. And we live in a world where the amount of data in the internet doubles every year. Like the entire information from now since caveman era, it like doubles exponentially every year. And there's like a lot of information, but most of the information is not relevant to you, not important. Is either porn or cat pics and memes, irrelevant stuff. But you need, within all of that hay is the needles of information that you will need to make certain decisions. Like, for example, which types of audience would be interested in this podcast, which type of audience would be interested in my music as DarkMatter, which other podcasts could we partner with, which other artists or producers could collaborate. If we're scheduling a tour, how would that tour make sense for the market that we could target? Which if our target audiences are in these made certain cities, which venues are near our target audience, which are the biggest venues for the type of draw that we could attract at this particular level. If we're at a level where I can sell out 100 a venue at 100 capacity, 200 capacity, 5,000 capacity, which venues within these cities could we target? Who could we speak to? Not just the receptionist, but like the actual show promoter, the CEO who owns the venues. Like, how can we really strategize those plans? How what information is relevant to my lawyer and my manager and the engineer? How could the information that my entertainment lawyer knows be useful to the audio engineer in terms of crafting my sound, or vice versa? And so that my book goes more into that, but from the lens of what I learned in graduate school of how the government organizes national security, the different agencies, how the different agencies share information with one another. Intelligence, what is intelligence? And so intelligence is information that's value added. It's timely, meaning that it's relevant to you right now, and it's future oriented. That means that if you use the intelligence, it can impact what you want to do in the future, and it's based off of prior, so it's timely, and it gives you a decision advantage, either over people that you are in the industry with, or like other artists, other podcasts, or just give you an advantage for yourself. And there's
Yeah.
business intelligence, intelligence that helps you run your business more efficiently. There's marketing intelligence, intelligence that helps you interact with the market more efficiently. And then there's competitive intelligence, intelligence that helps you stand out in the industry amongst competitors, intelligence that helps you understand, okay, if I'm Coca-Cola, what is going on with Pepsi that I could use to my advantage, you know? And so I go really into that methodology and the mindset of it. And I interviewed uh different rappers, producers, show promoters and curators, uh, um, managers, bloggers, and I asked them questions, and the questions that I asked them, I derived from uh, a literature review of books, journal articles in the field of intelligence, national security, the field of business, and also the field of music and entertainment. So I collected a lot of journal articles, books,
Data.
Yeah.
data,
Research.
and I used it to like create questions that the answers could help inform how to create like a methodology for artists to or creators to manage their own enterprise, their own small like team. Because I realized, like, if you look at like geopolitics, right? National governments, the way they move and they make decisions, like they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of capital, like financial capital, they have a lot of like research that they capital they could devote to research and development, and a lot of resources to make them, you know, US competitive to like China or Russia or like the Europe in you know, Britain or France, competitive with one another, how they share information, how NATO shares information within their organization. And then also then you have like um non-state actors, small like either non-profit organization, activist groups, terrorist organizations. Like they're smaller, and the way that they interact with information and intelligence is different. So the smaller organizations, their advantage is that there's not a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. So if they need to make a quick decision, they can.
Right.
But if they make the wrong decision, it can mean the difference between life and death.
Right.
And that's what you see in the music industry, where you have like me competing with like a Drake or a Tyler. They got a big apparatus, they got big music labels behind them. And so that's why you see they're so efficient. But if independent artists were able to organize their business in a way where their relationship with information and intelligence made them like agile, they can make quicker decisions, take advantage of market trends, taste in consumer behaviors, newer trends. They could start trends very
That's
quick. And that's what you see it happening, where you have like someone like Kid bubble up. Drake is like, oh bang, now you got songs like One Dance, you know, or certain, you know, challenges pop off, like the A Baby, A Baby. That's somebody that's like at the ground level, just messing around with a dance, and it bubbles. And
Yeah,
then now
I think
bigger
we also live
apparatus
in a
take
time
advantage
where
of that. They wouldn't be able to come up with that. A major label's not gonna come up with some A Baby challenge.
yeah, but we also live in a time where like people can share, like the way that we share things, it happens instantly. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? So somebody can do that, share it, and people see it, and it goes to the same pool that Drake's shit goes to. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes like the internet. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So like we now have the ability to kind of reach this. I mean, the internet has leveled the playing field as far as like who anybody can reach. Everybody can reach everybody. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So
I definitely think there's something to be said to also, yeah, understanding the landscape of the industry you're in and understanding, yeah, data and how data can literally, I guess, like not even a guess, like it'll literally benefit you and it'll behoove you in a way where it's like you can get the advantage or you can accomplish what it is that you're setting for yourself. A lot of people, especially if you're going to talk in like creative industries, and the actual artist in itself might just be going strictly off vibes, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and just doing shit. But it's like, yo, there is so much things that you can actually reel in and use for yourself, and there's so much things that you like. It's kind of like, you know, when you're working out and all of that, if you don't like record what it is, how can you actually gauge, am I getting better?
Yeah, yeah.
Are the increases that being made or whatnot? Same
Absolutely.
thing with the artist. It's like, you know, if you put that, if you have more of like a business mentality to it, now it's like, now you're collecting all of this information, and now, however, on whatever time frame that you're evaluating that, you know what I'm saying, like from month to month or quarter to quarter, it's like, okay, I see what I did here. I see how we allotted
Yeah.
this year, my time,
Hmm.
fund, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Now we got to
Hmm.
move on.
Yeah.
So
They say
definitely,
what
Yeah.
what gets measured gets managed. You know what I'm saying?
facts,
But
100%.
so where can people get this book? Because like it
Yeah,
sounds like it's
yeah,
got a lot
facts.
of crazy
Yeah, where
information
can
in
we
it.
buy
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
this?
saying? Like niggas need this
I'm
intel.
publishing it on Amazon this week. That's like my
Okay.
goal this week
Oh,
is
okay, bet.
to get
Oh,
it on
bet.
So
Amazon so that people can
they
purchase
got to be
it.
tuned in to
It'll be
your
out soon.
socials then.
You'll
Yeah.
glue it into my
Where
socials.
okay, where people can
Yeah,
follow you at on all the
yeah,
socials.
yeah. My socials. You can follow me on Instagram at official_dark matter. That's a official_dark matter. You can find me on streaming platforms as DKMTR. You can find me on Apple, Tidal, Spotify,
MTR.
Amazon Music. Type in DKMTR. I got an album that I dropped in 2018 called Living with Roaches. It's super dope. Like
No, yeah, nice.
You
it's
got
a
any more
double
music projects?
entendre.
You got any other music projects on the way? So I know you're dropping the book. Is there any new music in the cut? Or
Yeah, I'm working on my second album. But I'm calling it right now. The title for it is called Pandemic Memories.
okay,
So right now I'm in like the mastering stage of it.
tight,
The
Nice.
tight.
mastering stage. So I want to make it so it sounds super clean. I want to put it out this summer. Uh, Definitely my birthday is September 13th. So I'm looking at that's like the date that I would like to have it released. And then I'm working on like another album after that. I have like enough material that I made in the last 2 years for about like 2 or 3 albums. So the first
Nice.
one would be like Pandemic Memories, and is um my style from a music standpoint is like like my music is like a catharsis, in a sense that like I go through things and then I just kind of like synthesize it into music, and it's
Nice.
anecdotal for like the time period in which the music was created. So Pandemic Memories is like really just a view of like the things that I was going through, what I was thinking about, the experiences that I have, and during the this pandemic era, and the hope is that uh my fans, new listeners, resonate with it in a way that makes them kind of go into self inquiry about what their pandemic memories were like. Does it align and resonate in some way with the music that I'm putting out? And I hope so. So yeah, that's my next
That's
project
it.
that I'm working on.
What the-
And
but
then
yeah.
also so you're gonna also be performing comedy on April Fool's Day, right?
Yeah. I'm putting together this dope show. Shout out to my brother in like one of my partners in New York named Distinguish. He's a dope music artist and spoken word poet, and he has this brand of events called Bars in the Barbershop. You ever like had a music event, comedy event in a barbershop? Because that's a staple of hip hop. You can't really talk about hip
Right.
hop without the barbershop. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
facts.
So we have this dope show concept. We're bringing it to DC, the DMV area, for the first time ever. We're hosting
Nice.
it at D's Grooming Barber Salon. It's one of the more iconic barbershops in the DMV area, in Tacoma,
Right.
DC. It's been there for decades, made it through the pandemic storm. And so we just want to celebrate that barbershop, celebrate all of the local independent comics and independent music artists, rappers in the DMV area, start a movement where we have more of these events going, not only in the DMV and New York City, but we want to bring it out to Atlanta, bring it out to various cities nationwide, even as far as Europe, see how far we can take it. And so just really excited for that. And also I just be like out here, just follow me on Instagram. I do a lot of open mics Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, Wednesdays. I'm usually out at a different venue, just perfecting my craft as a comedian right now. And my goal is to be on some Bo Burnham type of lane, Jamie Foxx type of lane,
I
where
can tell you about Bo
it's
Burnham,
the
bro.
music and the comedy in one show, one
music, comedy, bro.
performance.
All you gotta do is add the acting bag.
And then add the acting bag. Yeah. That's gonna come. That's gonna come. I feel like I'm gonna be like Samuel Jackson. The acting gonna come later on. Like you know
later on.
When I'm like 40, I start acting out of nowhere and just like kill it. Like
I can see that, bro. But yeah, man, appreciate you joining the show, bro.
Yeah, for sure,
appreciate y'all too,
talk, man. Have a great weekend, and yeah, man. Looking forward to, you know what I'm saying, tapping in with you, checking that book out later this month. And yeah, man,
we gonna link up soon. We gonna turn up in the club
for sure. Yeah, last time it was a turn up for sure.
Yeah,
we gotta do that again. For y'all out there, y'all know we're in Law Society every second Friday of the month, man. So yeah, April we back, man. Peace. All right, bro.
Peace and love. Talk.
Oh shit. But yeah, man. Dope interview.
Sure. Shout out DarkMatter.
Yeah, shout out to DarkMatter. Make sure to tap in with him. But yeah, what we got going on this weekend, man?
You know, more of the same for real, bro. Just tap it in, create more content. Yeah, just another day. Another
weekend. Shout out Gio. Now that it's on the top of my mind, Gio, Greg. He the comedian that we shoot a lot of shit with. You know what I'm saying? His birthday is tomorrow, so birthday shout out to him.
Oh, shout out Greg for sure.
Lisa's birthday was earlier this week, I believe. So birthday shout out to her.
Shout out.
Try to think of any other birthdays I know, but we don't gotta stay there too long. But yeah, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna be back at it again real early next week, Friday. Peace out. Early.